There is a moment in almost every argument where one person keeps talking and the other one stops. Most people assume the one who stopped lost. That assumption is almost always backwards. The one who stopped is usually the one who just won, and neither person in the room realizes it yet. Silence makes people uncomfortable in a very specific way. When you say something and the other person does not immediately respond, your mind starts filling the gap on its own. You replay the sentence. You wonder if it landed wrong. You start talking again just to relieve the pressure of not knowing. That pressure is not coming from the other person. It is coming from you, and it is one of the most reliable levers in any conversation. Most men have never been taught this, so they do the opposite instinctively. Someone goes quiet after they speak, and they read it as disapproval or distance, so they rush to fill it. They over-explain. They soften what they said. They ask if everything is okay. Every one of those moves hands the other person information they did not have a second earlier, which is that discomfort controls you. Marcus Aurelius put it plainly in his private writings. He said the best answer to anger is silence. Not because staying quiet avoids the problem, but because silence forces the other person to sit alone with whatever they just said, without you rescuing them from it by reacting. Think about what actually happens when someone says something designed to provoke you and you say nothing back. Not a cold nothing, not a sulking nothing, just a calm, unbothered nothing. They are left holding the full weight of their own comment with no reaction to measure it against. Was it too much? Did it land the way they wanted? They have no idea, because you did not tell them. That not knowing is far more uncomfortable for most people than any comeback could ever be. This shows up constantly in dating. A woman says something a little sharp, a little testing, watching to see if you flinch. The instinctive move for most men is to respond immediately, to defend, to joke it off, to prove it did not bother them by talking about it. All of that is still a reaction. The version that actually holds weight is the pause. Not an angry pause, just a beat of silence where you simply do not rush to fill the space. In that beat, she is the one left wondering what you are thinking, instead of you wondering what she meant. Pythagoras said something that captures this from another angle. He said silence is better than unmeaning words. Most of what gets said in tense moments is unmeaning in exactly that sense. It is said to fill space, to relieve tension, to feel like something is being resolved, when really nothing is being resolved at all. It is just noise standing in for control that nobody in the room actually has yet. Here is what most men get wrong about this. They think silence is a punishment, something you deploy to make someone suffer or to win a power struggle. That is not what this is. Silence used as a weapon is just another form of reacting, dressed up to look calmer than it is. The kind of silence that actually holds power is the kind that comes from not needing to fill the space at all because you are not desperate for the moment to resolve in your favor right now. That distinction matters because people can feel it. A cold silence, the kind meant to punish, still radiates tension. The other person can feel that you are holding something back on purpose, and it invites conflict instead of ending it. A grounded silence feels completely different. It does not radiate anything. It simply exists, unbothered, and that is exactly what makes it so hard to sit across from. This applies just as much outside of arguments. In a negotiation, in a business conversation, in a moment where you have just made an offer or stated a boundary. The instinct is to keep talking to smooth over the silence that follows. Do not do it. The next person to speak after a number is stated or a boundary is set is often the one who ends up conceding something. Let the silence sit. Let the other side feel the pressure of the pause, instead of you feeling it and rushing to relieve it for them. Watch how this plays out with friends too. Someone makes a backhanded comment in a group setting, something dressed up as a joke but clearly aimed to get a reaction in front of others. The instinct is to defend yourself right there, loudly enough that everyone hears the correction. But that defense is exactly what turns a passing comment into a moment people remember. Say nothing. Let the joke sit in the air unanswered for a beat longer than feels comfortable. Most of the time, the person who made it starts backpedaling on their own, because an unanswered jab starts to look worse the longer it sits without support. The same goes for text messages, which might be the place men break this rule the most. A message goes unanswered for a few hours, and instead of continuing with your day, you send a follow-up, then another, each one revealing a little more urgency than the last. Every extra message is a small confession that the silence got to you first. If you can let a pause exist in a text thread, the same way you would let one exist in a face-to-face conversation, you keep the exact same leverage in both places. None of this works if you are performing it. If you are silent while internally panicking, calculating your next move, waiting for the exact right second to strike back with something clever, that tension leaks out anyway. People read tension in the body even when the mouth stays shut. The real skill here is not learning to perform silence. It is learning to actually be settled enough that silence is simply what happens naturally when you do not feel the need to react. That settledness is built the same way anything else is built, through repetition in small moments. The next time someone says something and your first instinct is to respond immediately, try waiting 3 full seconds before you say anything at all. It will feel unnatural at first. Most men are so used to filling silence instantly that 3 seconds can feel like an eternity. Sit in it anyway. Notice what happens on the other person's face while you do. You will start to notice something. The people around you begin doing more of the talking. They explain themselves further, even when you asked for nothing. They soften their tone without being asked to. They fill the space you left open, and in doing so, they hand you information and control you never had to ask for directly. This is not about becoming distant or unreachable. It is not about punishing people with the silent treatment, or refusing to communicate when something genuinely needs to be said. It is about recognizing that most words spoken in tense moments are not necessary, and every unnecessary word you hold back is a small piece of leverage you keep instead of giving away. The next argument you have, the next test someone throws at you, the next moment where the air goes quiet after you speak, resist the urge to fill it. Let it stretch. Let the other person sit with it. More often than not, they will be the one to break it first. And when they do, they will have told you exactly what you needed to know without you having to ask. Silence does not need defending, and it does not need explaining. That is precisely why it works better than almost anything you could say instead.